Okay, welcome to the lecture on song form. I'm in the song form module here, and you might want to open that up to follow along as I talk you through this. Song form is how our songs are put together. In the music we listen to, the songs usually last about 3 minutes. Okay? And over those 3 minutes, the song changes. It's not the same thing for the 3 minutes. Our ears have been developed to want to hear a change in the music about every 30 seconds to 1 minute. Okay? And in that, we have different sections of a song. Each section of the song sounds different than other sections of the song. They will contrast with different parts of the song. Okay. This is very different than music that has been played throughout the world or historically. A lot of world music that you hear today, say from Africa or India or Australia, the music might sound very similar over time to us. There aren't these clear delineations. Our historical music sounds that same way. If you listen to ancient music from the church, from the Gregorian chant, or some early Baroque music with Bach, there aren't these clear sections. But once we moved into the classical period, 1750 to 1800, our music, we began to expect these sections that we could hear that were distinguished from other sections. It's evolved into about the 3-minute long song, and usually we will hear some sort of section for about 30 seconds, another one, another one, another one. We hear about 6 sections over the period of 3 minutes. And sometimes those sections will do something like I'll play a little A section for a while, and then I'll play a B section, and then I'll play another A section, another B section, and then I might go to a C section, and then I would play another B section, something like that. The composer would pick how they would want to move through these sections to build their song. That is song form. Now let's go take a look at some of the more common song forms that we use in the music we listen to. If you'll go into the content song form diagram link here I provided, you can follow along with some of the things I'm going to talk about here in a second. You'll see these letters, and these letters, we're going to use the letters A, B, and C. There might be a couple other letters, but those will be the primary ones. The idea of those letters is they are distinguishing these sections in a song. And we're calling one section an A, the next section would be B. If we went back and played that first section again, it would be A, and played the second section, it would be B. These sections are distinguished because all the A's will sound like each other, and all the B's will sound different from the A's, but like the other B's. I'm going to jump to this next slide in this presentation by clicking this arrow here, and we're going to see the first major song form that we listen to. And this song form is called AABA. This is one of the older song forms. It's been used for a couple hundred years now. Usually what will happen in this song form is you'll do something for 30 seconds or so, and then you repeat and you'll do that again. And we usually call this a verse or a refrain. And then, like I was saying, at about a minute, something different needs to happen, and we will usually go to a different section of the song, a B section. In this case, we often call that a bridge. And then we'd come back and play the A section again. We're going to listen to some of these A, B, A song formats. To get up to the 3 minutes, you'll see that they often will add another B section and another A section afterwards. So each one of these A sections are going to sound similar to each other, while each one of these B sections will sound different from the A but similar to each other. This is a format that we're very familiar with. Our ears are very accustomed to it. You can see here on the slide I've provided some links to songs and some descriptions on those particular parts. Take a listen to those. You're going to hear this song form mainly in blues and early rock and roll. And I'll place through some of those examples on the next video that I do of examples on this lecture. The next common song form that we listen to is on the next slide. So I'm going to press the arrow here and go to the next slide. And this is called ABAB form. More often verse, chorus, verse, chorus. What does that mean? Well, in this format, we will play an A section, and then we will play a B section, usually about 30 seconds each. And then at a minute, we go back and play the A section and the B section again. And then often what will happen is at about the 2-minute mark, we'll go to what we're going to call a C section, a contrasting section or a bridge, and then come back to the B section. And so these A sections, again, will sound similar. These B sections will sound similar to each other. And this C section will sound different from everybody. It's sort of the separating part of the song, the contrasting part of the song. And this is called ABAB. About 90% of rock and roll that you listen to is going to be this format, A, B, A, B, and you're going to want to be able to hear that. Okay. When we label these ABs verse, chorus, and you'll see here on the form over here, I've labeled A as verse, B as chorus, A as verse, B as chorus, C as bridge. So this is the second common song form. It'll be the most common in rock and roll, and I want you to be able to hear it when you listen to songs. The third and final song form that I want you to be able to identify in this class is called the blues form, or AAB form. What does that mean? Well, blues is a little bit different, and it's one of the earliest forms that was adopted widely in rock and roll. And in fact, rock and roll may not have emerged if it wasn't for this blues form, because it contrasted with the AABA form. The letters in this form were actually much shorter together, and in some ways, what blues does is it goes A, over and over and over. But within each A, it has what I'll label it as a small letter, AAB, 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 and each section has smaller components to it that have a repeating line and then a contrasting line. And one of the things that makes blues unique is it has 3 lines instead of 4, which makes it not balanced and makes it sound like it can keep going and going and going. And if you've ever listened to a blues song, often it's very hard for the song to stop. They actually have to put like a tag ending to get it to stop. Many of us nowadays would think this all sounds the same because these sections aren't clear from one another. They're more repetitive, and our ears now are more designed to hear changes and sections in our music. But this form is very important because it was a form that was used in early rock and roll. And if you look over here on the left, some of the examples I have: Lucille, Hound Dog, Shake, Rattle, and Roll. These are some of the first big rock songs that ever came out that made use of this AAB blues song form. Remember that the A's and the B's are much shorter. I have them capitalized here, but often I will make them lowercase in a section called a verse, okay? A verse section, same section, same section, same section. You'll notice my times are a little shorter here, and that's because sometimes it's hard to get up to the full minute by the time you do 2 of those verses. But, somewhere in that range, between 40 seconds and a minute, they'll cycle through. And again, by 2 or 3 minutes, we want to get out of the song. You'll notice in many of these early rock songs, they are shorter. They tend more towards 2 minutes than the songs that we're going to hear later in rock. And that's just because this form gets a little boring after a while. And early rock and roll, this blues form lasted for 4 or 5 years before people grew pretty tired of it. I'd be curious to see if it can come back at some point, but I think most people, when they hear it, it doesn't move them because it's not something new. All right, so those are the 3 main forms that we have right here: AABA, ABAB, and AAB. We call this AABA form. We often will call this one verse chorus form, and we often will call this one blues form.